Every day, billions of people make food choices without thinking twice. Chicken or beef, rice or bread, coffee or tea. But there is one food that for a huge part of humanity is not a choice at all. Why do billions of people refuse to eat pork? In some countries, pork is everywhere. It fills supermarket shelves, it shapes traditional dishes, it is woven into language, celebration, and daily life. And yet, across vast regions of the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia, it is completely absent. Not avoided casually, not disliked. Forbidden. What makes this even more fascinating is that people have debated the reason for thousands of years, and no single explanation has ever fully settled the question. So why pork? Why this animal? And why did this rule become so powerful that it still shapes the diets of billions today? To answer that, we have to start at the beginning. Pork is one of the most widely consumed meats on Earth. In countries like China, it is central to cuisine and culture. But at the same time, Judaism forbids it. Islam forbids it. Many Hindu traditions discourage it. That level of agreement across very different belief systems is unusual. When unrelated cultures land on the same restriction, it suggests something deeper than coincidence. The earliest clear written bans appear in the Hebrew Bible in the books of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. There, pigs are declared unclean because they have split hooves but do not chew the cud. In other words, they do not fit neatly into a category. Later, the Quran repeats the prohibition, grouping pork with blood and carrion. But here is what is striking. These texts state the rule clearly. They do not explain the reasoning behind it. There is no detailed justification, no story of disaster, no recorded epidemic, just the rule. For centuries, people have tried to fill in that silence. One popular explanation is health. Pork, especially when undercooked, can carry parasites like Trichinella. In the 19th century, when trichinosis was identified, some believed they had finally solved the mystery. Religious laws, they argued, were early public health measures in disguise. It sounds logical. But when historians looked closer, the explanation began to fall apart. There is little evidence that trichinosis was widespread in the ancient Near East. More importantly, many other animals carried diseases that were equally dangerous, sometimes more so. Cattle could transmit anthrax. Sheep and goats carried infections. In a world without refrigeration or antibiotics, all meat posed risks. If health were the main concern, why single out pigs? The anthropologist Marvin Harris challenged the disease theory directly. He argued that pork was not uniquely dangerous. Instead, the real answer might lie not in biology, but in the environment. To understand that, we need to look at the landscape of the ancient Middle East. Pigs are not grazing animals. Unlike sheep or goats, they cannot survive on grass alone. They eat grains, roots, scraps, and much of the same food humans eat. In forested areas with shade and abundant undergrowth, pigs are efficient. They forage naturally and convert waste into protein. But as populations in the ancient Near East grew, forests were cut down. Land became drier. Cities expanded. Shade disappeared. Water became more precious. In that environment, pigs became expensive. They competed directly with humans for grain. They needed mud or water to cool down because they could not sweat. In hot, crowded settlements, they struggled. And when animals struggle, they become associated with unpleasant things: smell, filth, waste. The pig itself did not change. The context did. In cooler, wetter parts of Europe and East Asia, pigs remained practical. In hotter, drier regions, they became inefficient. Sheep and goats, yes, which could graze on sparse vegetation, made more sense economically. Over time, practical avoidance may have turned into cultural dislike. And cultural dislike can harden into something stronger. Humans are deeply sensitive to disgust. Once an animal becomes associated with waste, heat, and scarcity, attitudes shift. What begins as "this animal does not work well here" slowly transforms into "this animal is unclean." But the environment alone still does not fully explain the force of the prohibition. Chickens also eat grain. They can live in dirty conditions. Yet they were permitted. Goats eat almost anything. Why did pigs specifically become forbidden so absolutely? This is where identity enters the story. Dietary rules are powerful boundary markers. They separate groups. They define insiders and outsiders. If one community eats pork and another refuses, that difference becomes visible at every shared meal. Archaeological evidence suggests that pork consumption did not disappear instantly among ancient Israelites. Some communities continue to eat it. Laws are rarely created to ban something no one is doing. That suggests the rule emerged during a time of tension, when distinguishing one group from another mattered. As ancient Israelites lived alongside other cultures, food became a line in the sand. Later, under Roman rule, refusing pork could be an act of resistance. For early Muslim communities, dietary law helped solidify religious identity in diverse regions. Once tied to identity, the taboo no longer required a practical explanation. It became sacred, and sacred rules do not fade easily. Think about how food functions today. Sharing a meal is one of the oldest forms of trust. To eat the same food is to belong. To refuse certain foods is to signal a difference. Over generations, the pork prohibition became more than an environmental adaptation. It became part of what it meant to be a member of a community. And when something becomes part of identity, questioning it feels like questioning the group itself. So where does that leave us? The health theory explains part of the story, but not all. The environmental theory explains part of the story, but not all. The identity theory explains part of the story, but not all. The most honest answer is that the pork taboo likely emerged from a combination of pressures. Environmental conditions made pigs inefficient in certain regions. Economic realities made them less practical. Cultural disgust followed. Religious law formalized what society had already begun to practice. Identity then preserved the rule long after the original conditions changed. This process did not happen overnight. It unfolded over centuries. What is remarkable is not just that the rule emerged, but that it endured. Modern refrigeration eliminates many health risks. Global trade makes pork available almost everywhere. Yet billions of people still follow a dietary law rooted in ancient history. And that reveals something deeper about human behavior. We like to believe our rules are purely rational, but many of our strongest boundaries began as responses to specific environments, pressures, and conflicts. Over time, the original logic fades, the rule remains. The pork taboo is not simply about food, it is about how cultures adapt, how practical decisions become moral judgments, how identity can preserve habits long after their original purpose disappears. In one part of the world, pork is comfort food. In another, it is unthinkable. The animal is the same. The meaning is different. And perhaps that is the real answer to the question, why do billions of people refuse to eat pork? Because at some point in history, a practical problem became a cultural boundary. That boundary became sacred. And once something becomes sacred, it no longer needs a practical explanation to survive. Some mysteries remain unsolved, not because we lack intelligence, but because human history is rarely shaped by a single cause. It is shaped by layers of environment, economics, emotion, and belief. Food seems simple, but behind even the most ordinary ingredient can lie thousands of years of adaptation, tension, and identity. The next time you pass a supermarket aisle filled with pork products or sit at a table where pork is absent, you are not just witnessing a dietary choice. You are seeing the echo of ancient landscapes, early cities, and communities defining themselves against the world around them. And that is what makes everyday things so interesting. Thank you for watching. If there's another ordinary rule or habit you've always wondered about, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden meanings behind everyday things, consider subscribing.